In this video, I want to talk about how to upgrade your exhibitors into sponsors. I'm also going to share with you a story about how somebody called me asking to be an exhibitor at my conference and how I upgraded them to the title sponsor. Check it out. Before we dive in, if you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button and hit the thumbs up button to let me know you're watching so that I keep making videos all about sponsorship. Now let's talk about how to upgrade your exhibitors into sponsors. And just to clarify, exhibitors and sponsors are not the same thing. I know lots of organizations call their exhibitors sponsors. This is not accurate. An exhibit booth is an asset. It is a commodity. It is not sponsorship. Sure, plenty of sponsors exhibit, but that doesn't mean an exhibitor is a sponsor. An exhibitor simply has a booth where they hand out information, try to collect email addresses, try to sell their product or services, or give away samples, depending on the type of event you're running and the regulations that apply to your particular industry. In other words, it's not that much better than typical sponsorship assets where you're putting logos on signs and e-blasting people. Now, I'm not saying that one should not exhibit, and I'm not saying that you shouldn't have exhibit booths. Although to be fair, at our live conference, we don't have exhibit booths for exactly this reason. They can be really low value or a major commitment that doesn't necessarily deliver on marketing outcomes. But again, your exhibitors may get good value from your exhibit space, and you may enjoy running an exhibit hall. If that's the case, continue to do so. But it's important to note that an exhibitor and a sponsor get radically different benefits. And therein lies the process of upgrading exhibitors into sponsors. Exhibitors exhibit. Sponsors engage in complex, multi-channel marketing campaigns with you. That could include branding, thought leadership, contesting, lead gen, and yes, exhibit spaces. In other words, a sponsor is 200x what an exhibitor is in terms of marketing value and marketing benefit to the sponsor. At the Sponsorship Collective, we have a policy: we do not exhibit. Even if the sponsorship package we're purchasing includes exhibit space, we will simply not go. If someone's forcing us to take an exhibit space, we just tell them to give it to somebody else. And I've heard this from many, many business owner friends and colleagues of mine. So let's talk about the process of upgrading exhibitors into sponsors. Exhibit booths can be a good profit center for you and your business, but sponsorship has a 90% margin sometimes. So therefore, it should be your strategy to move people from exhibitor into cash sponsorship. In order to get people to consider sponsorship over just exhibiting, you really have to get clear on who your audience is. Exhibitors are happy to just set up a booth and whoever comes. They'll always complain about traffic no matter how busy your exhibit hall is. But ultimately, it's just about getting people to visit the exhibit hall. So you put the coffee there, you put the cheap carbohydrates there, you get people into the exhibit booth, job done. To move people into sponsorship, you really have to understand your audience, avatars, and niches. In order to move into sponsorship, you want to show a potential sponsor that you've got their highest quality, most valuable audience. And then you want to work with them to come up with all kinds of great ways to connect them to just that smaller group of audience, of avatars, that niche that they're after. And you should be having a discovery session with every single exhibitor. I know that sounds like a lot of work, but it's really important if you want to upgrade your exhibitors into sponsorship. And that's exactly how I got an exhibitor to turn into my title sponsor. I was actually volunteering as part of a conference committee, and of course, I was in charge of sponsorship. No surprise there. And what had happened is my phone rang and someone said, "Hey, we were on your website. We want to come to this conference. We want to buy an exhibit space." Now, be honest. What would you do if your phone rang and somebody said, we would like to buy an exhibit space? You would say, that will be X thousand dollars, check or credit card. I did discovery. And so instead of just getting happy ears and saying, oh my goodness, I made a sale, I asked a really simple but powerful question. What are you hoping to accomplish with an exhibit space? Then they told me all of the things that they were hoping to get by exhibiting, none of which can be accomplished at an exhibit booth, aside from they wanted to give out samples and information. So I certainly didn't say to them, hey, you're not going to get that benefit from an exhibit space. Instead, what I said is, it sounds to me like you're really interested in branding, in thought leadership, and in some of the things that an exhibit booth really isn't the best place for that. Yes, you'll get some of the benefits, and I'm happy to set you up with a booth, but would you be interested in hearing about some other options that we have available that would help you achieve these other goals you've outlined? Their response was, of course, we would love to learn more. So I told them I'm going to put an exhibit booth on hold for you. There's no concern. You've got a great location. That's not going away while we have this conversation. We sat down with their leadership. I did a full discovery, asked them who their audience is, what they're trying to achieve. Then I put together a custom proposal just for them. After presenting it to their team, to their leadership team, they decided to pull back on exhibiting at several other conferences and channel all of their revenue, all of their sponsorship, I should say, into their sponsorship opportunity with us. And they took the title sponsorship for the conference. So was it more work? Yeah, it was significantly more work. Was it more money? It was massively more money. And they came back year after year as the title sponsorship for this conference. Was it worth the added time of running a discovery session? Absolutely it was. But there's no point in doing discovery if you're just going to send a tired, boring, old gold, silver, bronze package for your sponsor to throw in the garbage. You want to create tailored assets and activations based on the outcome of that discovery session. That's what I did, and that's how I leveled up this potential exhibitor into a multi-year title sponsor. And then, of course, you must negotiate the terms of the deal. You want to make absolutely certain that you are ticking all the boxes, that you have a contract in place written by a lawyer, and you want to make sure that you are both on the same page, that they know exactly what they're getting as the sponsor and you know exactly what you're getting in terms of cash, but also what are your obligations. And then, of course, you're going to go to contract and sign the agreement. I am not a fan of proposal to invoice. Yes, it's extra money to involve a lawyer. However, you absolutely should consult a qualified lawyer who understands how to build sponsorship contracts and make sure that's part of your process. I'm not a legal professional, much to the chagrin of my parents, but what I can say is that you should speak to a lawyer. Something that people often skip with their exhibitors is a fulfillment report and a fulfillment meeting. I hear it all the time. They're just like a couple $1,000s, a couple $100 in some very small events. Why should I waste my time having a meeting with all of these exhibitors? Some events have hundreds and hundreds of exhibitors. Well, the answer is that you're not wasting your time. What you're doing is speaking to people who have already given you money. It's way easier to get someone who's already given you some money to give you a lot more money than it is to go out and find people who've never heard of you to give you $50,000, $100,000. So you should create a fulfillment report for your exhibitors, proving that you did everything you said you would do. Then have a meeting with them to talk about whether or not you're serving their needs and what else their marketing budget could go towards. In other words, how you can put them into a bigger sponsorship opportunity. In other words, you want to treat your exhibitors like any other sales prospect, except an exhibitor is really at the top of your sales funnel, which means that they are your hottest pool of prospects, your hottest lead list to move into bigger and bigger sponsorship. And you should treat them as though they are your most valuable prospects and run them through the typical sponsorship B2B sales cycle. If you got value from this video, it would mean a lot to me if you could just drop down below in the comments section your biggest takeaway, the one thing that you're going to change about your sponsorship program, or something that's working for you that you want to share. And the other thing, I would absolutely love it if you could just take a moment to hit the subscribe button and give us a thumbs up if you liked the video. And remember, the sponsorship proposal, and indeed the exhibitor prospectus, does not make the sale. You do. Good luck out there.